The drama surrounding the start of this NBA season has unfolded like a wild, unpredictable saga, carving out clear lines between the contenders, the pretenders, and the teams sinking into total chaos. With enough games now in the rearview mirror to expose the truth beneath the hype, the league's landscape feels more volatile than ever. At the bottom sits a cluster of teams trapped in turmoil so deep that even the fans can sense the unraveling from miles away. The Pelicans, Grizzlies, Kings, and Mavericks, four franchises that began the season with optimism, have watched everything crumble in real time. Sacramento's flawed roster construction has come back to haunt them, exposing gaps that should have been addressed years ago. New Orleans remains a puzzle of talent and inconsistency, shaking confidence every game. And then there's Dallas, a franchise imploding under the weight of its own decisions, highlighted by the abrupt end of the Nikico Harrison era after the disastrous move that sent Luka Dončić away for Anthony Davis. Even the poetic irony feels painful as AD sits out nearly half the season already. Memphis isn't far behind, drowning in the disappointment of a star who no longer looks like one. Morant's explosiveness has evaporated, replaced by a hesitancy and inefficiency that leaves the team fractured, frustrated, and edging toward a future that might not include him at all. Just above the wreckage sit teams caught in painful transition years, forced into temporary mediocrity through no fault of their own. Boston and Indiana have been thrown into a limbo where winning feels impossible without their cornerstones. The Pacers fall to 1-10, and the Celtics stumble to a 5-7 start reflect the harsh reality of missing elite superstars, a reminder that one player really can dictate the identity of an entire team. But this slump is temporary, a holding pattern until Jason Tatum and Tyrese Haliburton return to restore order. Jaylen Brown has stepped up with brilliance, showing flashes of what the future could look like if he ever gets full control of an offense. Meanwhile, both teams stand just one offseason away from reclaiming relevance, ready to surge back into the upper tier once their engines are fully restored. Then we enter the land of rebuilders, the Nets, Wizards, and Jazz, teams openly leaning into the tank, chasing future franchise saviors in the draft. They know exactly who they are and what they're aiming for, and every loss inches them closer to that potential generational player who could change their trajectory forever. Their seasons aren't about wins or momentum. They're about positioning, development, and hope. The middle tier, though, is where things get interesting. Toronto, Charlotte, Portland, and Phoenix sit squarely in the zone of unpredictability. They rise, they fall, and on any given night, they can look like playoff hopefuls or lottery-bound disappointments. The Raptors are the most stable, hovering above .500 with defensive grit and steady offense. The Hornets, bruised by injuries, still find promise in their young core. Their rookies are performing beyond expectation, showing efficiency, maturity, and defensive presence that could shape the team's future identity. But LaMelo Ball's health looms over everything. The ceiling fluctuates with every twist and turn of his ankle. Meanwhile, the Blazers quietly await the return of Damian Lillard, whose Achilles rehab appears ahead of schedule. If he comes back anywhere near his old form, Portland could swing upward quickly, especially once they tighten their defensive shortcomings. Phoenix, operating under the freedom of low expectations, has found surprising momentum led by a rejuvenated Devin Booker and a fearless Grayson Allen. Injuries continue to plague them, but without pressure. The Suns are playing looser, smarter basketball. Further up the ladder sit the teams that entered the season with high expectations, but have faltered early. The Hawks, Magic, and Clippers all carried the weight of preseason hype, only to buckle under flawed systems and miscalculations. Orlando's offense has devolved into a confusing blend of misplaced roles and ball dominance issues, forcing Franz Wagner into an unacceptable level of inactivity. Jamal Mosley's coaching seat grows hotter with each loss. The Clippers, meanwhile, have collapsed into a defensively broken unit weighed down by age and health issues. James Harden has been sensational, but the roster around him cannot survive the grind of a long season. Atlanta's struggles stem from an identity crisis, one amplified by Trae Young's injury. Even before he went down, the offense sputtered under odd rotation choices and unclear roles. They aren't doomed. Young's return could still spark a turnaround, but their path is uncertain. Above them are the teams who've exceeded expectations, charging into the season with surprising success. Milwaukee, Miami, San Antonio, the Lakers, Bulls, 76ers, and Pistons have all made statements early on. Giannis is rewriting statistical norms with historic scoring efficiency. Miami continues to thrive on relentless ball movement, refusing to fade even without key players. The Spurs, powered by the unstoppable emergence of Victor Wembanyama, have leapt ahead of schedule with elite defense and rising chemistry. The Lakers have stayed alive with impressive resilience despite the absence of LeBron, while Luka leads an MVP-caliber charge. Chicago, lifted by Josh Giddey's playmaking brilliance, finally looks organized. Philadelphia has found an electric spark in rookie VJ Edgecombe and the unstoppable scoring burst of Tyrese Maxey. But the most dramatic rise belongs to Detroit, who transformed from one of the worst teams in league history to a legitimate threat in just 2 seasons. Cade Cunningham's MVP-level start and a fortified defense have placed them on top of the East, turning heads across the league. But even among the surprises, the true contenders rise to the surface. Golden State remains dangerous despite inconsistency, anchored by Stephen Curry's leadership and playoff-tested identity. Cleveland regains its swagger with the return of Darius Garland, elevating the offense around Donovan Mitchell's scoring brilliance. New York has surged into form, powered by Jalen Brunson's relentless production and surrounded by a lineup built to defend, score, and consistently execute. Minnesota, too, has reclaimed its dominance with Anthony Edwards leading a deep, balanced roster capable of grinding out tough postseason wins. These teams weather early storms knowing full well that their real battles begin in April. And then come the standards, the pillars of the league this season. Oklahoma City, Houston, and Denver have separated themselves with overwhelming consistency and clarity of identity. The Thunder look like a machine, a fully realized two-way force led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's MVP push and Chet Holmgren's evolution into an offensive weapon. Their defense sets the tone, their pace and depth keep opponents scrambling, and their youth continues to develop at a frightening rate. Houston has discovered the perfect blend of grit and star power. Their rebounding dominance borders on historic, while the additions of Kevin Durant and the growth of Alperen Sengun have unlocked a new, balanced offensive system. And Denver, the reigning champions in spirit if not on paper, continue to perform with ruthless efficiency. Nikola Jokic's brilliance remains unmatched. Jamal Murray provides steady firepower, and their structural discipline makes them the most stable powerhouse in the league. As the season unfolds, these tiers will shift, narratives will flip, and new crises and triumphs will emerge. But right now, the hierarchy feels clear, the drama undeniable, and the road to June filled with intrigue. What about you? Which teams do you think will rise, fall, or shock the world as the season progresses? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love deep dive breakdowns like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next episode.